One of my favorite things about the summer is all the fresh fruit that's available. This month, Pretty Pink Posh has amazing fresh fruit designs for stamps, dies, stencils, foil plates, and embellishments. This is a fabulous, fun, fruity, and big release, so let's just flip through the new items first. This is the Layered Strawberries Stencil, and it is a 4-pack of stencils that creates large and small strawberries that have stems on them, seeds on them, little flowers, and veins on the leaves. Next up is the Layered Citrus Stencils. This is a 3-pack of stencils with the quadrants of the citrus, the rinds of the citrus, and some little droplets of juice that are squeezed out of those. This is the Layered Watermelon Stencils. You have slices and halves of watermelon as well as the rinds and seeds, and this is the Starburst stencil. It's a single stencil. First up in stamps is the Fresh Berries. You can get stamps and dies that will cut out pretty much everything in that stamp set except for the teeny tiny sentiments. This is Fruit Salad stamps and dies. These are lots of fun to color in and have a variety of fruits. This is the Fruit Borders stamps and dies. Again, a variety of fruits and dies that you can cut out those borders. This is Watermelon stamps and dies, a couple of options with the whole watermelon, the half a watermelon, and the slice. This is Citrus stamps and dies. I love lemons, so I love this stamp set so much. It is just such a cute little stamp set at a great price point. These are the Friends and Smile shadow and foil plates. So dies and foil plates are available. Here's the Fruit Mug Editions dies. I love any addition to that mug die set. Here's the Fruit Tree dies with several types of fruits available, and the Fruit Bowl dies with layers available, and the mini scallop card dies, which makes a cute little card. Here's Strawberry Shimmer Confetti, a beautiful new pink that will be great on these cards. Lime Shimmer Confetti, again a really bright summery green, and Lemon Shimmer Confetti. So lots of great summery colors in the confetti available now. This is the Tropical Paradise Clay Confetti with a cute little mix of sprinkles and fruit pieces, and the Lemon Lime Clay Confetti as well. Now let's use those supplies to make some fun cards. For this first card, I'm using that watermelon stamp set. I just wanted to show you how everything except for the smaller sub-sentiments stamp out. And these are great for coloring in. You can see that they are large enough to really have some fun with some blending and shading. I'm using Ohuhu markers, which are my favorite to use. I used an alcohol-safe ink and an alcohol-friendly paper. So I just really had a blast. Even though I'm only using a few colors here, I had so much fun getting the ends of that watermelon to look darker and shade really beautifully. I also grabbed the Stitched Strips die, which cuts out strips of cardstock with a faux stitching on the edges. And I cut that out of black, pink, and green. Next, I'll use the watermelon layering stencils. For the watermelon layer, I'm using a combination of Kitsch Flamingo ink and Festive Berries because watermelon to me always has that mix of pink and red. For the rinds, I'll just use some Mowed Lawn, and for the seeds, Black Soot in Distress Oxide ink, and a small ink blender so I don't get black soot all over that stencil. But look at how cute those watermelons come out. I will just cut a strip of this and use it on this card on the left-hand side, and then use the stitched strips to line up next to it in the colors of watermelon, the green rind, the pink fruit, and the black seeds. Next, I will stamp the sub-sentiment that says thanks A. Remember I mentioned that there are dies for everything. It even comes with a die for the word melon in script, but just not for those tiny little sub-sentiments. I'm using white gel pen to cover up little mistakes on the edges and to add little white gel pen details to my colored die cuts. I really think that a tiny little bit of white gel pen on these die cuts makes a huge difference. You can do this if you have trouble getting a really light point in your coloring, or just to add tiny little accents. I have that white white strip on the card on the right-hand side, which is perfect for popping up all of my elements. So I have the half watermelon and the little droplets, the script word melon, the large whole watermelon, and then the little slice of watermelon. And to finish this card off, I did want to add a little bit of shine, so I went for the strawberry and lime confetti and glued those around that right-hand part of the card. For the next card, I'm starting with the citrus stamp set. You can see that the round fruit could be orange, grapefruit, whatever you want. I'm doing everything lemon in this card, and obviously the half wheel and the wheel could be any citrus as well. I'm also using the borders fruit dies, the fruit borders dies, and I will color the one that has citrus on it as well. It's got the lemons and then it's got a round fruit. Again, could be oranges, grapefruit, whatever you want. I'm making everything into lemons because some lemons have that kind of football shape, some are a little bit more round. So I feel like you could use whatever you want on this stamp set that is citrus. I cut that white scalloped edge with the scallop borders dies from Pretty Pink Posh, and I die cut all the other pieces out so I can put them around the You're the Zest sentiment that I stamped out. This die set does not have that large sentiment die, but it makes a smaller price point for the dies. So this is a really fun set that you can get a lot of use out of. Like I mentioned, you could do lots of different citrus here, and then of course add some of the lemon confetti. For this next card, I'm starting with the fruit bowl dies. You can see there are a couple of dies that are included in this set that allow you to create either just a stitched fruit bowl, or you can have stripes on the bowl itself. So I'm going to layer the stitched stripes on top of a plain white bowl. This is the fruit salad stamp set. I mentioned how fun it is to color. The sentiment that I chose for this card has the word bunches in it, so I thought I would do a bunch of bananas and a bunch of grapes, and so those are the fruits that I'm coloring. I also did color a little cantaloupe stripe. So it says thanks a bunch at the top, and then I'll pop up the fruit bowl at the bottom. Now, if you just cut the striped bowl, it does have a cutout at the top so that you could place fruits inside. Since I layered it with that stripe, I can't use that cutout, so I will just use the fact that it's popped up to have some of the fruits behind the bowl and some hanging over the front. And again, some white details on those fruits make a huge difference. For the next card, I'm stamping out the stamps from the Fresh Berries stamp set, and there are a bunch. So you get a berry basket, you get some strawberries, some leaves, some blueberries, some raspberries, and some little flowers. And I decided to color in all of the images. I thought I would put a mixed berry basket together. Again, that white gel pen is perfect for adding a little bit of color to those seeds so they pop a little bit off those strawberries, and then just adding some little details around the leaves, the blueberries, and on the sides of the basket, just to kind of rough it up a little bit. And there are dies to cut out all those images, even the tiny flower. There's also a die to cut out the very much part of the sentiment. I'm using that scallop border die again that I mentioned before, and this time I'm actually stamping and heat embossing the sub-sentiment that says thank you in white embossing powder. Then I'll put the little scallop at the bottom, kind of like a tablecloth, and the berry basket popped up on top. This way, if you use the foam at the bottom of the berry basket, you can tuck things inside it so it looks like they're all just filling over the top and over the sides, just filled with a bunch of berries and flowers and leaves. Lots of foam adhesive for these types of clusters make it really easy to create a fun look. For the fruit tree dies, I did cut the tree itself out of brown cardstock, the leaves of the tree out of green. There are smaller leaves that I used that are dark green, and I decided to cut the round fruits, all of them out of peach cardstock. So we're going to make a peach tree. Now there are also pears in that set. There are apples that I'm using as some more peaches because I didn't want to have to cut a million of one tiny little die. So you can't really tell once you to get them on the tree, what fruit they are, as long as you cut them all out of that same type of color. And then you can add little leaves to them as well. I decided to use the Smile shadow die. It's got the Smile word and then a shadow. I just used the word die at the top of the tree. And then I'm adding even more white gel pen details. This video is all about white gel pen details, I guess, because it just looks so much fun and it's just such an easy touch to add. I decided to add a little sub-sentiment in white embossing powder again to heat set that. Now just be careful when you have everything glued down and you bring in your heat tool to do it real quick. So it says you're a peach, otherwise some things will start falling off because the adhesive will melt. For the next card, I'm starting with the Starburst stencil. Again, this is a 1 stencil set. So I decided to use several colors and I'm moving in a circular motion around the center of the stencil, and then as I go outwards, I do go in the direction of the lines of the stencil so that it doesn't pull up the stencil too much. But in the center, they're close enough that you can go in a circular motion so you can create a multicolor stencil Starburst that way. This is the original mug die. It's the winter mug die, and I will use the mug and the drink in that die set. And then I'm adding the fruit mug editions dies to create a fun shaker. So the front gets cut out, an acetate piece of the mug gets cut out, and then I adhere the mug with the window cut out of it down to the acetate piece that has nothing cut out of it. It's just the shape of the mug. So now I have my shaker window top. For the bottom, I'll cut the same color of mug and place that on that Starburst stencil background. I'll put some of the lemon lime clay confetti in the center of the base mug. I've doubled up some foam tape and I'll cut it into a real thin strip. I need a real thin strip to go around the edge of the mug. And I want all of these strips to touch each other so that none of those little clay confettis can come out. Then I'll pull off the protective layers on the back, make sure all that clay confetti and those little shimmer confettis are in there, and then press down. And I decided to have a green drink instead. I love the way it looks with the little clay confettis glued to the top of the green inside the mug as well. They also have a fun little heart strawberry in this set. So it's 2 layers for the strawberry so you can see the seeds, and then a layer for that little stem there. There's also a citrus slice that I layered on top of each other to create a 2-tone green citrus there. Everything is going to be lime and a little bit of pink as a pop of accent. So I forgot to include my straw. So I die cut the straw and I'm going to slip it in, just pick up that foam tape and then make sure you really press it down good so that none of that clay confetti gets out when you use it as a shaker. I also have a couple of little lemon wedges down at the bottom. You can see there's also a little pineapple that's included. There's ice cubes. So there's a bunch of different elements, and there's a little cheers sentiment that you can use too. For this next card, I'll start with the layering strawberry stencil. So starting with the first stencil that has the berries and the flowers. I have the flowers in yellow, the berries in a nice lumberjack red. And for the stems and leaves, I'm going with mowed lawn again because they are going to have little accents of a slightly darker color. I'm using Rustic Wilderness and a tiny detail brush to add just a hint of a darker color on those stems. For the seeds, I decided to use antique linen, and that really is nice because the Distress Oxide can sit on top of each other. And finally, for the veins of the leaves, I'm going back to that Rustic Wilderness. So here you go. You can see how cute that background comes out. I die cut the mini scallop card out of some green cardstock, and now I'm using a sentiment from the berry set that says, "Your berry sweet," and I'll cut it down to a sentiment strip. The mini scallop card also has a small square stitched die that comes with it. So I'll use one in white on the inside of the card and cut the stenciled berries on the outside of the card and then pop up the sentiment on top. This is a super quick and easy card, and I have lots of those strawberries left over for another card. For the citrus layering stencil, I decided to use several colors. So I'm having several types of citrus on this stencil. So I have some orange. I used carved pumpkin. I have some yellow for lemon. I use squeezed lemonade. And then I have the mowed lawn for the lime. The next stencil creates the rinds. So I decided to use a slightly darker hue of each color I'd used before to create those rinds, and slightly smaller blending brushes so that I can just cover up those rinds and not use a ton of ink all over the stencil. There are also some little squeezed juice drops. Then I'll use that stitch square die from the mini scallop card to cut out white and the stenciled citrus. And then I stamped a sentiment, and I'm going to pop that up right on top of that stenciled background. So this time I'm putting it kind of a little bit lower so you can see those cute little juice squeezes from the lemon and the orange. So you can see you could make a bunch of these and have them as little gift toppers or to place a little bit of cash inside. I'm always partial to lemon stamps and dies. I don't know why, I just love them. If you had a favorite today, let me know about it in the comments below. YouTube thinks you might be interested in checking out this video next. As always, I want to thank you so much for stopping by and spending time with me today. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again soon this summer. And embellishments. And embellishments. All right, one more and then we get to take a break. Better. Where are you looking?